All right. So as I mentioned, today we'll be talking about reducing your CRM lists in the Inbox 25 platform. We'll be covering specifically some advanced use cases for target lists with regards to how they work within Inbox as active or inactive targets. So, just before we dive in, some general housekeeping. If you have any questions during this webinar, please enter them into the question dialog box inside the webinar platform. I'll be getting to questions right after the demonstration. Any questions that we can't get to live, will be replied to via email. And also, as a general reminder, you can also follow us on Twitter at Inbox25. Now, let's get on to the main show. That's why you are all here, of course. So first and foremost, I want to talk about what constitutes an active target. What is an active target? Well, active targets are contact target records that are stored within marketing lists or CRM lists and have a status set to active. Records that have a status of unsubscribed, bounced, manually deleted, or pending activation are not counted against your plan's target limit. They are also ignored by all of our features and functions. Only records with an email address can be added to a marketing list or CRM list on the Inbox 25 platform. So that begs the question, why is this all important? Well, active targets are records that we base the monthly marketing automation plans on. So the more targets that you intend to target and market to, the more money we ask you to spend with us on a monthly basis. Now, I imagine that many of you have looked in your database and realized that you might not want to target every single record for a campaign. Your database might house 50,000 records, but maybe only 10,000 of those records are the ones that you might want to market to. So you might be asking yourself, Ryan, how can I make sure that those additional 40,000 records don't interfere with my payment plan? Don't worry, we've got you guys covered. So reducing the number of active targets contained on your CRM list can be accomplished quickly and easily by building a simple workflow using automated campaigns. You can define the criteria conditions of the targets that you wish to remove, and then use our change status action to recategorize those records to inactive. Although the record is not actually removed from your list, it is no longer synchronized with Sugar CRM, and the record isn't included in any of our marketing automation tools. So to begin this process, we're going to go ahead and create just a couple of mock automated campaigns so everyone can kind of see what it is I'm doing and how to go from there. So now this screen should look familiar to everyone. From here, we are going to go and create several real examples of ways in which you can begin to reduce your CRM records in your CRM lists. All of these are possible with very simple automated workflows. So let's go add campaign. Wait for this to load. All right. From the campaign timeline, begin by selecting your campaign targets. From the drop-down menu, you'll select one of your CRM lists. If none appear, you'll need to configure SimSync. Just once again, SimSync for everyone is this little button right here in the right-hand corner. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and select leads, just to keep everything, simple. And we are going to call this, inactive targets number 1, just to keep things simple. We'll be doing a couple of these this afternoon, so get used to seeing inactive targets. So let's click on continue. All right, so now we're at our condition wizard. So our condition wizard gives us a whole plethora of potential options to choose from. The possibilities, are pretty much endless. Think of this as defining a segment for your data. So we're going to go ahead and begin with the very first example. So for our first example, we're going to target all records in our CRM list that have never opened any of our emails. It's pretty safe to say that this is an open and closed condition. If people aren't going to bother opening correspondence from us, then we should focus our resources on those who do. So for this to happen, we're going to click on the campaigns condition, as I just did. Now from here, we can select any of the campaigns that we have created and sent out our records to. Obviously, some of you may have more campaigns than others once you get to this screen, but moving right along and going off what I mentioned a little while ago, we want to target all those individuals who have never opened an email from us. So we can choose either any email campaign or any automated campaign. For this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and click any email campaign. We want to say they did not open. Go ahead and title this did not open correspondence any. All right. Click on add condition. So from this now, we're now going to move on to adding our action. Obviously, we need to configure our wait connector. For simplicity's sake and for the remainder of the demonstration and the webinar for this afternoon, I'm just going to have everything be set to 1 minute. We're going to want everything to be pretty instantaneous. Now, from here, we're going to go to change status. So from here, we really only have two separate statuses that you can select from. One is set as active and one is set as inactive. Setting the status to active is going to allow you to basically market and interact with that particular record in any of the fields. Setting the status to inactive, which is what we will be doing today, is going to be a way of trimming down your CRM list. Basically what this will do is it'll set the record off to the side and not count it against your total active records within your within your database. One quick thing I do want to make sure that I cover, just in case anybody was wondering, if you set a record to inactive, it does not delete it from your Sugar CRM database. Think of it as just a small checkbox that once it's checked, you don't touch it. If you uncheck it or you put it back to active, it goes back to normal. So we're going to put this set as inactive. Click on Add Action. And boom, we've completed our campaign. See how simple that was? So this is just one example of a pretty simple campaign that you can create to help begin to monitor your records and begin to trim down the amount of data that you're currently dealing with. So we're going to go back to our automated campaign manager, and we are going to create just another mock campaign as well. So same as before, we're going to select our campaign targets. For simplicity's sake, as I mentioned, I'm just going to have everything go through our CRM leads module that I've got synced over for myself. Depending on where you guys may or may not have your records, you'll probably choose the CRM list that's most pertinent to you guys. So it could either be leads, prospects, contacts, or accounts. But we're going to stick with leads for today. And I'm going to call this one inactive leads. Oops, my hands aren't working. Inactive leads numero dos. Clicking on continue. So for this particular example, I want to go ahead and have all of our sugar records in this list be ones that were created before a certain date. This is just another standard workflow that is pretty popular for reducing a CRM list. Chances are you guys will have several years worth of records accumulated, and out of those records, there's probably a good portion that haven't been touched or have not been requalified as time has moved on. For simplicity's sake, let's say that you know for a fact that records that you have that are older than 3 years are now unreliable, and you would like to not target them. So for this condition, we are going to go and select our data fields condition. And from our drop-down menu, we are going to select our date created in Sugar CRM. We will switch the status to is before, and just to make things easy, we will say that we want to make that date 3 years prior from today. So this will be June 17 of 2011. All right. So from here, we're just going to go ahead and click on Add Action. And just a friendly reminder to everyone out there, you can always add more conditions to a workflow that you want to have if you want to drill down even farther. Just keep in mind that what I'm pretty much going over today right now, or at the moment, is just some very, very basic examples of things that you can do. But I did want to shout that shout that back out that you can drill down farther and add in even more. So we're going to click Add Action. Wait connector, go back to 1 minute. Going back to our action wizard, change status. Once again, name it, set to inactive. And we are going to now add our action. All right. So from here in the campaign, and our second example is done. Now, I've got one more basic workflow that I want to show you guys that can help you trim your CRM list. So just bear with me. We're going to go through this one more time. I see I do have a question. Don't worry, guys. I will be sure to get to that by the end of the demonstration. And if I don't know the answer to it, I will be more than happy to find out for you guys. So moving right along, go back to add another automated campaign. You guys are probably getting sick of this screen right now, but moving right along, same as before, Sugar CRM leads, title this campaign, inactive leads number 3. And so for this final example, I'm going to show you how to target leads that have not been active in the system for longer than 90 days. Please note that for this example to work, you need to have the lead scoring rule set up and put in place. Basically, what we're looking for are any records that have not had a change in their lead score over the last 3 months. So to begin, we're going to select campaign target. As you guys saw, I already did that. So moving right along to our conditions. For this, we want to choose scoreboard, and we are going to select this to last changed is greater than 90 days. And keep in mind, you can always do this for as many days as you want or as few days as you want. So if you have a really aggressive sales cycle, maybe if no one's done anything in 30 days, it might be more pertinent for you to choose that instead. Go ahead and we'll just name this real quick. Inactive leads greater than 90 days. Click on Add Action. Back to our Weight Connector screen, 1 minute. Back to our Action Wizard, moving right along, change status. Inactive leads greater than 90 days. And setting it as inactive. Add our action, and boom, campaign is over. All right, so as I mentioned, this is just one more example of a very, very simplistic, workflow that we can create. I have one more final workflow that I would like to show you guys. This is going to be a little more challenging. It's a bit of a multi-step scenario. So let's go ahead and rock and roll. So go back, add our automated campaign. All right, select our list. All right, so for the basics of this next example that I'm going to show you guys, what we're going to be doing is completely setting all of our records in a particular module to inactive to begin with. After the records have been set to inactive, we will then create one more follow-up campaign that will set the records back to active based on their inclusion in a particular target list. So moving right along, we're going to select our campaign targets. As you see, Sugar CRM leads. Go ahead and name this. I'll stick with my my strategy that I've had so far. Inactive leads number 4. Continue. So for this one, we're going to have 2 condition blocks, but they're both going to be data field conditions. We're going to set up one condition for targets created in Sugar before today, and then a following condition that will target all records that are created after today. So we're going to start with the before. Date created in Sugar is before today, being June 17th, 2014. Add our condition. We're going to add one more condition on top of this. As I said, it's going to be the exact same thing. Going to go to data fields. Data field will be date created in Sugar CRM, and we will have this be after today as well. So June 17th, 2014. Add the condition. click on Add Our Action. Oh, a new screen has popped up that we haven't seen yet today. These are our Connect Your Condition screen. Basically, just to rehash this for everyone, this is the screen asking, of the conditions that you have, put in place, how do you want us to qualify and target them? Do you want both of them to be, do you want all of them? Do you have to qualify in order for this to execute, or do you want either of them to qualify for this to execute? Well, obviously, for this example, we're going to want match. We're going to want to click on Match Any. This will change that little AND that you guys see right here over to an OR variable. And the reason we're doing this is because we obviously can't have data with two different creation dates acting together. It's like trying to look left and right at the same time, just not possible. Click on Continue. And going on to change status once again, we're going to set as inactive, and we're going to have this be leads module all inactive. Excuse me, guys. Got a bit of a cough today. And now we are going to end our campaign. So you might be asking yourself, why exactly would I ever want to set all of my my records in a particular module over to inactive? Well, this basically falls under the route if you were an email marketer who is looking to move more into marketing automation. The difference in the plans originally, the difference between the two plans of the system is if you're an email marketer, you're paying by the amount of email credits that you're sending out. Whereas once you move over to the marketing automation plan, it's all based on the active targets and the active records that you guys have within your CRM database. So, this particular example is going to be a way of kind of leaning and making people more aware of how their current records are interacting with their campaigns. One thing that I should mention is even though a record is set to inactive, basically the inactive label is strictly for all pro marketer functions. I'd mentioned this earlier in the webinar, but I wanted to just kind of expound upon this a little bit more. Basically, what that means is that when a record is set to inactive, you won't have access to the scoreboard and the lead scoring capabilities for that particular record. Automated campaigns that you might have set up won't target that specific record. What you can do, though, is you can create just basic email campaigns that can target that particular record. So basically, what this will then allow you to do is you can still send correspondence to them, but if they haven't been interacting a lot, as one of our examples was, you can always figure out different ways to gauge their interest and how well they are actually actively participating with you in your marketing campaigns. You might see on my screen that I also have my leads Sugar CRM tab open. I'm going to go ahead and click on that now and show you guys kind of what I mean. So as you guys can see, this is my leads module in Sugar. We can see I've got a lot of famous people here: Winnie the Pooh, Gandalf the White, Samwise Gamgee. Hopefully you guys out there are some Lord of the Rings fans. But one thing I wanted to show in particular is if I go over here to the campaigns button right over here, I can see a list of all of the campaigns that have been sent to, through inbox via Sugar. So this testing 1, 2, 3 that I've got over here is a campaign that I set up earlier today, which will allow me to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. So if you go over here and you click on the little bar graph off to the side, this will allow you to see the status and all the analytics that are associated with that particular record, or with that particular campaign, excuse me. So you can see from here, who's viewed the message, who didn't view the message, who's clicked through, what message bounced, and who subscribed or who suppressed. But you can also, the main button that I want to show you guys is this little Add to Target List button that you can see. What you can do from here is add the records directly into a target list that you have created, and this is kind of moving along to the fact that I had mentioned earlier that we'd be talking a little bit more sophisticated uses with target list in terms of inactive or active records. So for my campaign from earlier, I sent my coworkers, just a basic email, and I could see, who it was sent to, who opened it. I see only 2 of them actually viewed the message and opened it, so shame on them. All of them should have opened it. But from here, we're gonna keep going. Add a target list. Or actually, you know what? Let's get out of this one. I want to add these guys to only. I want to target only my coworkers, Alex and James, who've actually viewed my message. So I'm going to add them to my target list of active leads. All right, so they are now in my target list for active leads. But you might be saying, they're still technically inactive in the system. I haven't switched them over to active yet. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create one more automated campaign that's going to act as the part 2 to the one we had just done with setting the leads module to inactive. So campaign targets, back to leads. This one will be active target lists. For this, my condition is going to be that they are a member of a target list. Select my target list, and I want them to be a member of active leads. Condition will be member of. For those wondering, not member of would target any of my leads not associated with that particular target list. So that would be everyone else that I had, just not the 2 that were currently in the list. Enter in our description. So we'll call this, just active leads target list. Add our condition. Great. Add the action. Obviously, we want this to be pretty quickly instantaneous. So 1 minute to continue. Change status. Select as active. Active targets in our target list. Add the action. Boom, in the campaign. So basically what all these different campaigns have done have shown you various ways of how you could kind of, begin to play around with the total numbers of people that you want to market to. The one that we just did with the target list that I showed you of adding people to a target list, all you need to do from here is just activate the actual campaign, and anyone who is now a member of my active target list will, who is now a member of my active target list is now currently available for me to begin marketing more automated campaigns to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much concludes the basis of today's webinar. I want to thank you for joining me. I see I do have one question from Lonnie. Let me open this up, Lonnie, and just see what it is that she asked me. When a record is made inactive, is it inactive for all campaigns or just the one automated campaign? No, good question. So when a record is made inactive, it is made inactive entirely. So what that basically means is until that particular record has been switched over back to active, it is not a viable or usable record for any of the automated campaigns. As I'd mentioned, if you want to do a one-time email campaign, you can still send to those individuals. It just means that any emails that you send via an automated track that you have created, they will not be eligible for. One question I also see that I got is if I have one workflow that sets a campaign to inactive and that record is then reactivated, will the same campaign switch it back to inactive? And the answer to that is no. So once a record goes through a campaign, it is done. The same record can't go through the same campaign multiple times. So, if you have records that have been switched to inactive via one campaign, and then you've either gone in manually and switched them to active, or you've run a second campaign to switch them back to active, the system won't retroactively go back and realize that they're not even if they still have the same conditions, it won't go back and just switch them back to reactive. So, one workflow, one record. But if you want to make another campaign to switch that record back to inactive, you're more than welcome to do that. That's the only way that it would possibly happen in that way. And so one more question I see is, will trimming my records cause them to be deleted in Sugar? The answer to that is no. So basically the inactive, as I mentioned earlier, is just a tag that the system kind of puts in place to make sure that the record is ignored. The record will still show up as is in your Sugar CRM database. So, you don't have to worry about the system going in and deleting the record or anything like that. No, it's just kind of put off to the side until it's ready to be put back into play. And I don't see any more questions at the moment. With that said, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Want to give one last shout out. Please join us for our next webinar on this coming Thursday, June 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our introduction to Inbox 25 4.5-1 for Sugar CRM, where our co-founder, Mr. Kevin Lowry, will be going over all of the new features that we have put in with our new release. If there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If there are any questions that you guys would like to ask me later today, please feel free to email me at ryan.brown@inbox25.com, and I will be more than happy to take care of them for you. Once again, thank you for joining me today, and have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.